Hi class, in this video we are going to be talking about divisibility. Divisibility is the quality of being divisible. Divisible is when a number can be divided by another number with no remainder. So another way of saying this is I can divide a number by another number and get just no decimal numbers. So let's talk about the rules. This one is a pretty straightforward one. It's called the divisible rules for 2. Basically what it states is a number is divisible by 2 if the last digit is even. So something you learned in elementary school practically, right? So if the number ends in an even number, it's divisible by 2, meaning you can divide it by 2 and then get a number that does not have a decimal. So in this case, 7,462, it's a big number, but since we know that it ends in 2, which is an even number, we can say yes, it can be divided by 2, or it is divisible by 2. 353, because it ends in 3, we're going to say no, it is not divisible by 2. 97, because it ends in 7, which is an odd number, we're going to say no, it's not divisible by 2. And 4018, since 8 is an even number, this number is divisible by 2. So I'm going to say yes, you can divide it by 2 and get a nice number of no remainder. Okay, the divisible rules for the number 3. This one is harder to remember, but allow me to show you. So let's say I have a number like 54. Now, when I look at 54, I know that it is divisible by 3, meaning I can divide it by 3. But that's because I know my times tables really well. But if you are unsure, here's a rule that might help. If you break apart these numbers, 5 and 4, and you add them together, you should get a smaller number. Now, this smaller number, if this number can be divided by 3, then the bigger number, 54, can be divided by 3. In this case, 9 can be divided by 3, meaning it is divisible by 3. Hence, I can say that 54 can also be divided by 3. All right, let's look at number 2. If I do the same approach, 5 plus 0 plus 5 plus 3, let's find out what I get first. I'm going to get 13. Now 13, can 13 be divided by 3? And would that get me an answer that does not have any decimal values in it? And the answer is no. So because 13 is not divisible by 3, 5,053 is also not divisible by 3. Okay, 8639. I'm going to add these numbers together and see what I get. Okay, 8 plus 6 is 14. 14 plus 3 is 17. And 17 plus 9 is going to be 26. So is 26 divisible by 3? And the answer is no. So that means 8,639 is also not divisible by 3. Let's look at 774. I'm going to add 7 to 4. 7 plus 7 is 14. 14 plus 4 is 18. Now, is 18 divisible by 3? Meaning, can I divide 18 by 3? And the answer is yes, I can. So because I can divide 18 by 3, I can now assume that I can also divide 774 by 3 based off of this rule I have for divisible rules for 3. So I'm going to say yes. Okay, divisible rules for 5. It basically states that a number can be divisible by 5 if the last digit ends in 0 or 5. So, for example, here I have a big number here, 20,455. Because I know that the last number ends in 5, I can just say this entire number can be divided by 5. So I'm going to say it's divisible by 5. Yes. 6,852. Because the last digit ends in 2 and it doesn't end in 0 or 5, I'm going to say no. It is not divisible by 5. This number here, because the last digit ends in 8, I'm going to say no. It cannot be divisible by 5. Now, 4, 890. Because the last digit ends in a 0, I'm going to say yes, this number can be divided by 5. So it is divisible by 5. Divisible rules for 10. A number is divisible by 10 if the last digit is a 0. So that's a very clear rule. Here I have 530. The last digit is a 0. So I can say it is divisible by 10. 1,296, because the last digit is 6, it is not divisible by 10. Same thing for number 3. The last digit is 7, so it is not divisible by 10. For number 4, the last digit is 0, so it is divisible by 10, meaning it can be divided by 10.